Do you feel like there's never enough time in the day to get lost in a good book? Or does it feel like everyone but you has time for reading while you are swamped with other things you need to do? You're not alone. Today I'm here to help you reclaim your time for reading and let you know how I've gone from reading 2 books a year to reading 40 or more. So grab some coffee, let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Razu and welcome back to the channel. To me, reading isn't just a hobby, it's a tool for personal growth and understanding, and a way I can decouple from all the daily stress I experience. But finding time for reading can be a real challenge. In 2024, our schedules are busier than ever between work, family, and social life, if you have one of those. Carving out time to read seems almost impossible. Today, I'll give you some tips on how you can find more time for reading. Last year, I challenged myself to read 50 books and also write daily. It seemed daunting at first, but by implementing these tips, I actually surpassed it quite a bit. By the end of the year, I had read 52 fiction books and 14 non-fiction books. This transformed my understanding of myself and of what I can do, but also boosted my creativity more than any other practice I have ever tried. I know that you're thinking now, what a show off. I will never be able to read that many books in a year. And honestly, that shouldn't be your goal anyway. You shouldn't be trying to hit a specific number or a specific amount of time every week. If you do that, then it becomes a chore like all the other horrible chores you have to do in life. And reading should give you a nice feeling, not the feeling you get when you have to clean or do the laundry. So I suggest that your goal should be to read more than you are doing now, and that's it. If you read 1 minute more this week than last week, that's awesome. If you read an hour more, good for you. But it really doesn't matter how much, only that you enjoy it. So, what are my tips to actually get more reading done? Tip number 1, schedule reading time. Just like you set a meeting, block out time in your calendar dedicated solely to reading. It can be every day, it can be once per week, that's up to you. If you make sure you have a specific time where you and maybe your family knows that you will be reading and shouldn't be doing other things, so you shouldn't be disturbed, it becomes so much easier to get it done. Tip number 2, carry a book with you everywhere. That way, any unexpected downtime becomes an opportunity to read a few pages, and you really don't need to read an entire chapter at a time. A few pages is fine. Think about all the times during your day where you could have time to read. Waiting on the bus, riding on the bus, when you're using the toilet, when you're waiting for your food to cook in the kitchen. You get the point. Carry a book with you and you will always have something to read when time becomes available. Tip number 3. This tip is probably the one that has helped me the most. Reduce your screen time. Think about all the time you spend on social media or watching Netflix. Evaluate if you really think that time is being spent well, or if you can cut down on some of it and read instead. In my case, I now spend a lot less time on Twitter and Instagram than I used to. Cutting down just 20 minutes per day means a couple of extra books read every year. Tip number 4. Read while you are doing other things. If you exercise at the gym or go biking or running, that is the perfect time to listen to an audiobook. I know some people say that audiobooks are not the same as reading, but to those people I say I strongly disagree. Listening to an audiobook while exercising, making dinner, or some other activity where you're using your hands and can hold a book is a great way to get some books under your belt. Tip number 5. Create a dedicated space at home where you can read without interruptions. This can be as much as a dedicated room to a specific chair, as I have right over here, or it can be a special way to lie in bed with a bunch of pillows. Try to set your place apart from your regular space at home, so every time you see it, you're reminded of how nice it is to sit there and read. This will not only remind you that you want to read, but also motivate you to do it. Tip number 6. Join a book club or online community like Reddit or the comments below my videos. Sharing your journey with others can motivate you to stay on track. It's always fun to hear what other people have to say about a book you are also reading. Sometimes it will be completely different from your own view on the book, or similar. It can also help you get through some heavier or longer books than you would normally pick up yourself. Tip number 7. Make it a nightly ritual. Unwind before bed with a book instead of your phone. Just put your phone away an hour or so before you want to be asleep. Lie in bed with your book and relax. Many people find that reading before bed also helps improve the quality of their sleep, but just a word of warning, horror books might not be the best to read just before sleep if you're not used to horror stories like I'm not used to horror stories. Tip number 8. If you are part of a family, you can set aside some family time for reading, so everyone knows that on a certain time, on a certain day every week, everyone will sit down and read. Maybe share some cake or some tea and listen to some relaxing music while everyone leans back with a good book. If you have young readers in the family, that can also be a great time for them to ask questions and get help with their reading practice. Tip number 9. Go to the library for inspiration. In many countries around the world, you can find libraries where you can get inspired and borrow books for free. Here in Denmark, we have amazing libraries, so I do this a lot. We tend to only buy books in genres we know and love because we don't want to buy stuff we will end up hating. Going to the library can help you try new genres and authors, but spare you the disappointment of having spent money on something you ended up not liking. Also, bonus tip, librarians tend to be pretty awesome at recommending new authors and books based on what you already like. Tip number 10. Join a reading challenge. Joining reading challenges can significantly boost your motivation to read more. Websites like Goodreads and local libraries often host challenges, and you can find a variety of online communities dedicated to reading that offer challenges as well. This not only helps increase the quantity of your reading, but also introduce you to books you might not have picked up otherwise. So those are my tips to help you read more, but remember, these are just tips. In reality, it's all about you making a decision that this is something you want to do, and then find time to do it however way you can. Remember, every page you read can be a step towards a better you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your strategies for fitting reading into your busy schedule? Drop your tips in the comments below so we can all share them. As always, and I'm sorry I kind of hate doing this, but if you enjoyed the video, please do the YouTube thing and click all the buttons, like, subscribe, yada yada. It will really help me out. Thank you for watching. See you in the next chapter.